Ex-burglars of Reddit. Now, what things make people a target? Story 1, lock your deadbolts. Can't tell you how easy it is to cart a boot with the deadbolt unlocked. Might as well leave the door open. I used to be able to stick my hand in through the letterbox and undo the Yale lock. Deadbolt was broken and demanded the landlord fix it. She came round because she didn't believe me when I said I could break into the house in 5 seconds. I did it in front of her, and she fixed the bolt that afternoon. Never used it for nefarious reasons, but it was the case for most of the houses on my street, and I have tiny hands. Helped many hapless neighbors break into their own houses after locking keys inside, etc. Obviously, only people I knew lived there. Not like, hey, can you help me into this random house? Story 2, I once was visiting a female friend of mine who lived in a bit of a crappy neighborhood. At the time, I was working construction and swung by after work. I got to the house and took my size 12 work boots off and left them on the front porch. I tend to carry a pair of flip-flops in my bag and change into those, then we hit a patio for some sunshine beers. I ended up forgetting my boots at her place and was in no rush to get them back as I had another pair. Now I do not know how true this is, but she swears that having a pair of big work boots right by her front door made her safer. I had pretty much forgotten about them, as they were on their way out, but she left them right where they were. She had less craziness happen in her front yard, less strangers knocking on her door, and she was not broken into again at that place. Of course, it could have been the smell. Story 3. If you're in very studenty areas of UK cities, when you order a taxi, get it from a slightly different address, like a block of flats with lots of lights on or a house you know has no one living in it, and be waiting outside it, or better yet, get it from outside a supermarket or a pub, etc. In my city, certain cab drivers are in cahoots with burglars and let them know when a house is empty for most of the night because the students are out clubbing, even if they leave a light on, etc. Generally, try to find private rented accommodation away from the student areas. Burglars will hit student-heavy areas as part of a regular circuit, regardless of countermeasures taken, because students as a rule are idiots when it comes to security. And the payoff is so great with all those laptops, phones, and gadgets left lying around. No, they don't even care if you're home. They will break in anyway and take what they can get. Pro tip for knots: don't live in Lenton. Story 4, all of this is great advice, but the number one way to keep a burglar out of your house is to keep burglars out of your life. 66% of all burglaries are committed by people known to the victim: sketchy son-in-law, jealous neighbor, addict daughter. These are the people most likely to burglarize your house. It may be tough to cut these people out of your life. Cameras and alarm systems often deter these people. Try to hide information about your whereabouts from them. Don't post your upcoming trip to Belize on Facebook, where they can see it. Give the local pawn shop a picture of your sketchy addict son-in-law. Tell them if he's pawning things, it's probably stolen from you. They may not seem interested, but believe me, pawn shops aren't interested in trouble. They'll send him out the door if he comes in. Story 5, I spent a year and a half in prison after being convicted of multiple residential burglaries. I was caught after a mailman called 911 after seeing me go through a window. I had a pretty good run of burglaries from 2007 to 2008 and haven't done any in 7 years, so technology and times have changed since my spree. Here's how I picked my houses. I would generally only go in the daytime during the week. The idea was for the adults to be at work and the kids at school. I would try to find a corner house because it would have at least one side with no neighbors. I went to middle-class neighborhoods close to a community college. I live in a large U.S. city and needed an excuse to be in my late 20s walking around with a backpack. I would stand out too much in wealthy neighborhoods, and poorer neighborhoods often have bars on windows because they expect to be robbed. Middle-class people seem to be careless. I often went in through an unlocked back door. Interestingly enough, I never went through the front door. I would always go to the back or side because any fences would provide coverage. People think a large dog would be a good deterrent, but I generally avoided those annoying, small, yapping dogs that never shut up. I often went through a bedroom window, whether it was unlocked or not. I'm committing a major felony. I didn't care about a broken window. I usually went straight to the master bedroom because that's where the good stuff was. Story 6. It's funny, I was just going to post a life pro tip about this subject. Life pro tip: if you're a burglar, talk to children. They'll tell you everything. Example, the other day we were at the store with my 5-year-old. A random woman smiles at her and says, "Hi, aren't you pretty? What's your name?" My daughter then proceeds to rattle off her full name, first, middle, and last, her mommy and daddy's name. what city she lives in, the fact that her older sister just got a new TV and a Nintendo Wii U, and that she's so excited because we're all going to be taking a trip to visit our family in California next month, all in the space of about 30 seconds. She just had so much crap she was excited to share with her new friend, she couldn't stop talking. Story 7. Serious. Answer. I did some thefting in my youth. I'll leave that at that. Keep in mind I was no mastermind. When picking a house, besides the obvious answers like a full mailbox and newspapers scattered about, I often picked houses by the stupid tricks people use when they go out of town. Leave the radio on, leave the TV, leave the lights on, etc. Tons of lights on, and an obnoxiously loud TV in the living room at 2 a.m. on a Sunday night in an upper middle class neighborhood. When I found a potential house, I'd obnoxiously ring the doorbell, then run away and watch for activity. After that, if I felt comfortable, I'd try to gain entry, and if it was too hard, oh well. Every time I broke and opened a window or door, I would run away again for a half hour or so and watch for activity, even if I had to do it in multiple steps. For example, break the window by the door, then run away and wait. Come back and ajar the door, then run away again. I did this because of an irrational fear of silent alarms. Obviously, if I saw any kind of activity or set off an active alarm, I would leave. So, you want to keep me out of your house? Don't appear as a target. Full mailbox. Obstructed view of the house from streets. Don't make it easy for me to have lots of deadbolts, active alarms, motion lights, dogs, etc. I wouldn't mess with any of that crap. If I do get in your house, don't keep small valuables all about. I often did all my work on foot and stole money, jewelry, small electronics, etc. Have a safe, basically. Hope that helps. I'm reformed now, but you can still judge. Story 8. Seen a couple of these supposed experts saying your dog is useless. Bullcrap. If you have a little yappy dog, that makes sense. My home was broken into several years ago during the middle of the day. I had a lab and GSD mix. Like a lot of people would say, nicest dog ever, would probably kiss you to death, blah, blah, blah. I got a call from the cops because someone driving by called the police after seeing a bloody man in a ripped shirt running away from our front door. When I got home, my front door area just inside the house had what looked like a little dried blood on the floor and door. The police said when they arrived, the dog was just lying there staring at the door. The police said he barked as they arrived, but quickly and easily calmed down. Nothing was taken and only a small table by the door where we put our keys and stuff was knocked over. Long story short, the guy brought himself to the hospital, and the cops picked him up as he was leaving. We didn't press charges for breaking in or anything, just let the police handle it and never actually saw the guy, but the police officer told us his cheek was totally torn from the side of his mouth toward his jawline. We figured pickles did enough justice, and our lives would be easier to just move on. Story 9. I grew up with a whole lot of thieving scumbags, bank robbers, carjackers, etc. Here are my suggestions in no particular order. Get a big dog. Very few thieves want to deal with that. If they aren't specifically targeting your house, then they will move on to the next one. For houses they are targeting, they will leave poisoned food outside. Keep an eye out for that. Don't use window air conditioners. This was by far the most common way to gain access by my friends. Kick in the AC and climb on in. If nothing of value is found, the AC could be taken in for scrap metal. Motion detecting lights, they are a minor annoyance. Will scare off the brainless junkies. Visible cameras can be fake. Though they're so cheap, just get real ones. Don't leave your garage door open. Thieves like to drive around nice neighborhoods, looking for people who left their garage open. They love a situation where someone might be mowing their backyard. Quickly hop out of the car, run into the garage, grab as many tools as they can, and run. If they bring a truck, they'll be grabbing bigger stuff. You probably won't even notice or know what happened. Make it a royal pain in the ass to get into your backyard. A 10-feet fence would be nice. No one likes breaking in through the front door or front windows. No one likes scaling 10-feet fences either. This complements the get a big dog concept. Story 11. To the legitimate burglars in here, I feel like I need to tell you something. My brother and one of my friends, completely independently of each other, have almost a fantasy about shooting a burglar. They both have this romantic visualization of them being the good guy hero, and burglars being the perfect example of a bad guy that is coming into their house to kill their family. They daydream and plan for this scenario. My brother even has his alarm siren turned off when he's home so it only rings his phone and won't scare an intruder away, like he's hunting or something. I just want you to know that these people are out there. If you break into their house, you're getting shot by a guy with a raging hero boner. And I frequently hear the same thing: shoot to kill, because if you don't, they'll sue you. It's not worth it. Stay out of other people's houses. Story 12. I'm not a burglar, but leave the TV on high when you leave the house. Get a dog. Make sure you do the bare minimum, like lock all doors and windows, and get a basic security system. Basically, just don't make yourself the low-hanging fruit. Also, keep in mind that most robberies aren't completely random. Not a lot of people will go into a house not knowing if there's anyone inside or anything. Usually, they'll either get a tip or scope out a place for a while. Easiest thing on earth you can do with zero effort: go to eBay and buy a protected by Dyson security, or whatever the security system, sign that you can stick on your lawn. That will repel 90% of people, except maybe if someone you know is the one who robs you. Story 13. For your windows, please use a fly screen and bar it up. It makes a lot of noise to break into. The fly screen is obvious. You don't want some pissed off burglar releasing bees into your house. The thieves will then pick the door, double doors, bar, or metals, and big doors are good. Get some good locks. But this is where the double door comes in because it takes longer to pick. As the door is the most likely avenue since windows are secure, you should secure it with cameras. I'm going to throw out the idea of having an automated warning when motion detected and viewing the security feed. This way, since the most likely entry point is your door, you'll have two that they'll have to break through. And in that time, you can contact the police. And sure, they may get in, but they won't have much time. A dog is a good defense against backdoor entry, which is also a weak point in a lot of houses. Play something on a tablet or the radio. Noise is also good. It makes people think there's someone inside. Redirect calls from your home to your mobile. This is because people would check by calling the house multiple times and hanging up if there's someone picking up. Lastly, neighbors, be friendly, talk to them, and know your neighborhood. Nothing is better than a physical body presence and people having each other's backs. Thieves aren't interested in robbing a home highly secured. It takes time, and the risk associated is much higher than an insecure house. They will hunt around the block looking for targets. The idea is to prevent your home from looking like an easy target, even if they choose it. Make it seem like your house is occupied. If they continue, make it hard to get in and enough time for you to call the police. No home is ever safe. All homes can be broken into, but because people robbing houses aren't exactly big shots, they're usually just some low-life idiot who needs some quick cash. Story 14. Locking your door. Wouldn't believe the amount of people that don't lock their doors. Story. In college, I was stupid. No excuse for my actions, as the risk was much greater than the reward. I could have ruined my life going to a top 10 US university. A friend and I would sneak into the freshman dorms at 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning, literally open unlocked doors and loot whatever was laying out in the main room. The way the dorm was set up was that a main room would connect to 3 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. Electronics, Xbox, PS, laptops, bikes, TVs. We took a 50-inch TV from one room. Awkward as hell walking out of the dorm, and a few blocks with that. Textbooks, and basically anything we could grab. If you are a college student with a suite and a key, please lock your door, as it is not worth the risk. Be safe, everyone, and don't let yourself be a target. Story 15, funny. I started a subreddit several months back for the purpose of getting answers just like these. I'd had something stolen and couldn't find an Ask Thieves section on Reddit, so made one. r/Ask Thieves. It's been locked. It was creeping me out how there were always 3 lurkers who wouldn't respond to anything posted, so I deleted everything and closed the shop. In any case, I just unlocked it. If anyone's interested, there's nothing posted there right now, but I think it would be a helpful place to go if it had an actual population. I'm sure this will just be buried, but I might as well throw it out there. Story 16, local cop here. On a constructive level, lighting. Burglars like working where they can't easily be seen. Make sure you have good lights at all entryways. Make sure your door is secure. At minimum, it should be 1 3/4 inches thick, secured by deadbolt and door lock. The frame should be properly reinforced as well. Exterior door hinges are very bad. Shrubs are beautiful, but also great places to hide if someone wanted to break into a house. On a personal level, write down all of your serial numbers or identifying marks of expensive items into an electronic document and email it to yourself. Don't leave flashy or expensive things out in front of open windows. Only Invite people over you can trust. Be alert. Burglars often scope out a place before accessing it. An unfamiliar car, new people in the neighborhood might be looking at weak spots to attack. Make note of what those individuals look like and let the police know. Story 17. A cop once told me that if you have to leave your house at any time, when you get in your car, roll down the windows as you're backing out and wave to your house as if you're waving to someone who's still home and waving back. Oftentimes, burglars wait in neighborhoods and watch for people leaving. If they see you waving and saying goodbye to your house, they may just believe someone is still home, and it could deter them from trying to rob your place. Good advice. I have a very exposed front door and on a busy corner. So when I leave and lock up, and I feel it's very obvious that I'm heading to work for the day, I may start doing this. Story 18, I worked in security, ADT. And here's what I found on how burglars would case. They'd walk your street like a Mormon or some other business person, very professional, and hang door hangs or other things like info tracks, whatever. This would be the day they hit. They would walk on both sides of the street and do this, then walk back through, having already been casing for a while. What they look for is a block of houses that still have the hangings on. That suggests that no one is home in that surrounding area, so no one can see. Then they 9 out of 10 times go through the front door. A security sign will 90% of the time deter them. If you have a security sign and your neighbor doesn't guess who the burglar is going to try to break into, don't let the security system company put your touchpad anywhere that can be seen from a window, either the regular windows or the ones beside doors. If they can see it and you left it off, they can see that too. Getting into a garage is extremely easy, and no one ever locks the door from the garage to the house. I have sold more security systems by demonstrating the ease of getting into a garage. Go to your garage door and press firmly towards the top. Does it open enough to see up into it? Then they can break in. With a coat hanger, they can grab the red string and up goes the door. So cut your garage string or rope. You have a remote and don't need it. I can't think of anything else that wasn't said, but feel free to ask. Story 19, allow me to share my experience with burglars. I had my house broken into once. Doors locked, security bar, and sliding glass windows. No tools laying around. Locked garage and locked windows. Here's how they did it. They got a pry bar, stuck it under the garage door, and lifted just enough to get a low-profile hydraulic jack under the door. We know this because everything about how a garage door operates was absolutely broken. After they got the garage door open, they found the door to the house locked. They already brought tools, so what's one more? They plugged their own sawzall right into the wall in my garage and cut a hole directly into the house. Moral of the story is, if someone wants to get into your house, there's absolutely nothing you can do to stop them. Period. An alarm might help. Keep in mind that most police response times, especially to home alarms, are most likely to be crap, and the burglar may know this depending on the area. The alarm triggers at the company tries to get a hold of the owner first. Call that 3 or 5 minutes. The company calls the police. We have a breaking and we couldn't get a hold of the owner, and owner isn't home. Depending on the distance to the station, you're talking another 10 to 30 minutes. After my break-in, it took the police 45 minutes to show up. A properly motivated person only needs a few minutes to assess things worth taking. If they already know what they are looking for, then less. Try this. Open your front door and walk directly to your TV/PC/safe and walk directly back. How long did that take you? The police will not come that fast. Story 20. I'd have thought this would go without saying, but apparently a lot of people out there are really, really stupid, judging by the amount of people who claim to never lock their doors because they're in a safe area. Lock your crap up. I've lived in some seriously dodgy areas. I mean, like right next to unlit alleyways where they do deals in the daytime. I've seen people watching the house while I'm alone in it. Neighbors have seen people chasing it. Others have caught people on camera, trying the doors on the houses on the street. We don't get broken into, ever. 2 bolts and 2 locks on the front door. Last house had a latch as well, so even if you forget to lock the door at night, nobody's getting in further than will set the alarm off. And you couldn't get your arm around to undo the latch unless you can dislocate your arm. Back door locks. Back garden has a padlock on the gate, spikes on the fence, and CCTV and movement sensing lights. All the blinds go down at night so people can't see in. There's a perimeter alarm as well, so if you touch the windows or manage to get the door open on the latch, it will go off immediately. And it's loud, it gives me tinnitus. When we're away for long periods of time, Family and neighbors come around regularly to check everything's okay and open the blinds, and there's timers on the lights, so they come on in the evening. We also have a dog now, and while he isn't a staffy, he looks and sounds a lot like one and has some serious force behind him when he wants to. He's knocked me over saying hello a few times, and I'm 6 feet tall. I know a lot of people who are very smug about not locking their doors or windows properly, like it's something to get proud over. Guess whether it's me or them that's had several hundred pounds worth of tech equipment and irreplaceable valuables stolen.